Hey guys, and welcome to Section 2, Chapter 1 of the Algebra program entitled Order of Operations. And hopefully today will just be a nice, easy review of the order in which we need to evaluate things. So I don't know if you were ever taught this, it's pretty generic, but let's just review something called PEMDAS. And hopefully you guys have heard of that before and you know what they all stand for, but let's just review. So P is always a parentheses. So you're always going to parentheses first, and then exponents, I'll denote with caret, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. And the only caveat we have to this that's a little bit misleading is that when it comes to multiplication and division, they are operationally the same. And so we simply move left to right. And the same is true for addition and subtraction, that they are operationally the same. So you simply evaluate them left to right. So hopefully you've done this before with some easy ones. Something like if we had 9 minus 4 times 2 plus 12, you could easily say, okay, I've got to evaluate the 4 times 2 first, which would make that 8. And now we have a situation where all that we have left here are subtraction and addition, and they are the same. So we're going to move simply left to right here, and I'm going to do 9 minus 8, which is 1. And then when I add 12, I get 13. If that's too fast, then I encourage you to just stop the video and go back through and try to process that through. But I'm hoping that that feels pretty easy for y'all today, so we don't have to worry about that. Okay, and then what if I had another example like 4 times 5 squared minus 20? Okay, again, we're gonna identify the fact that we have an exponent here. So it's going to be 4 times 25 minus 20. But now I have multiplication, which is done first before subtraction. So I'm going to multiply 4 times 25 and get 100 before then I subtract the 20, which would give me 80. So hopefully you did some of that in the pre-algebra program and even before. It's actually kind of a 6th grade standard, 5th and 6th grade standard. So hopefully that feels pretty good. Something we introduced last year that might be a little bit new is order of operations with parentheses and something known as the distributive property. Oh, just kidding. Actually, I don't want to do that yet. Sorry, psycho. I did have my notes written out. Okay, what if we did another example, something like 3 times the quantity 4 plus 6 minus 15, and we need to evaluate this. So notice that we need to do our parentheses first, which would be 4 plus 6, which is 10. And now remember, I'd said to you in a previous video that when you have two values next to each other with no indication of operation, we assume that that means multiplication. And hopefully you saw this a little bit last year. So this represents 3 times 10. And of course we need to do that before we subtract the 15. So hopefully that notation isn't too unfamiliar to you. But we should have 30 minus 15 and then be able to just subtract the 15. Now, I do want to point out, perhaps you recognized this type of example as an opportunity to use what we call the distributive property, which we talked about last year in pre-algebra. But I don't want you to do that for this purpose. We don't have any unknowns. We're not trying to solve anything yet for an unknown. This section is for you to practice your order of operations. So if you were tempted to distribute that 3, try to hold off. You still would have gotten the same answer as us if you had done that, but I want you to try to just use the order of operations here and just work on the order that you're supposed to do things in. Okay, I'm going to give you one more type like that. You're going to have so many opportunities to practice this, and hopefully you'll become very proficient at it. I just wanted to share one other thing about mathematics. So in math, we always work inside out. So in an example like this, we essentially have two sets of parentheses. And very often, once we've used a set of parentheses, then if we have to isolate something again, we use what we call brackets. And I don't know if you've seen that yet, but we will use that a little bit throughout the course. If we happen to have two values that we're operating and we need to isolate values, then we do use brackets if we've already used parentheses in the same expression. But as a rule in mathematics, we work from the inside out. So in this case, even though we have two sets of parentheses, the one that takes precedent is the one furthest on the inside. And for us, that's that value 1 plus 2. So everything is going to stay the same, and then I'm going to evaluate that, and that becomes 3. Now the next thing I need to do, my brackets work like parentheses. So the next piece is this multiplication inside here, oops, which is 12. And now I've done everything inside the brackets, and so I don't need them anymore. If it makes it easier to see, I can just drop them all together and do the subtraction. And 3 is my answer. All right, like I said, you're going to get tons of practice at this. Hopefully it will be pretty easy and you'll get used to the order, but that's really important as we begin solving equations next chapter, that we're doing things in the right order. Okay, there's one other type of problem that I just want to review with you. Again, you should have lots of practice at this, but let's just double check. Or, you know, it's the beginning of the year and hopefully you had a free summer and you didn't have to do any extra math, and we just need to get your brain turned back on. So, all right, there are types of problems where they give you values that represent things. So let's say A equals 4, B equals 2, C equals 5. And then they give us the expression 2A plus B, and we need to evaluate it. So remember, we're going to grab the values from up here and we're going to make the replacement. I don't know if you guys are in the habit of always putting parentheses around the values that you replace, but you really need to do that now if you haven't before. So anytime I make a replacement, I'm going to put parentheses around the replacement so that you can see what I've done, and then it also helps me ensure that I do my order of operations correctly. So in this case, instead of writing A, I'm going to write what A stands for, which is 4. And instead of writing B, I'm going to write what B stands for, which is 2. And now I need to use my order of ops. So I must do multiplication before addition. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply that. And then add the 2, and I get 10. Okay, hopefully that's not too bad. I'm going to use the same A, B, and C and just do one more example for you. What if I have 3B divided by B plus 4A? Okay, I'm going to make the replacement. So 3, and then B is 2 divided by 2 again, plus 4, and A was 4. Okay, remember what we said at the beginning, which is that multiplication and division are the same value, right? They hold the same weight. So we're just going to work left to right for this guy and then this guy. So 3 times 2 is 6. And then we'll divide it. I guess I could finish out this multiplication too. 4 times 4 is 16. Now I have to divide this guy, which is 3 plus 16, and then add them together, which is 19. Okay, so slow and steady wins the race in this section. So make sure that you're just taking your time, you're not rushing. A tiny mistake is going to end up ruining the whole problem. So just make sure that you go slow. And if you have questions, make sure you ask or review the video. I want you guys to finish up your notes. Make sure you read through the section and begin your assignment.